Video được Việt hóa bởi Ngọc Tân từ group tài nguyên dựng phim. Nghiêm cấm các hành vi lít về rồi bán cho thằng khác. Mọi ý kiến đóng góp xin gửi về Facebook Quỳnh Ngọc Tân.
Let's say that you shot an event with multiple cameras and you want to bring them into your editing app to cut in between the cameras to make a really professional looking show, right? Well, the cut page has some features that are really helpful for this kind of workflow. So we've been playing with our media from chapter 4, but we're actually going to go into our chapters, and here under chapter 6, cut page, let's go ahead and open up our cut page media. Just select everything here on the timeline and delete it, because we're going to make a multicam edit. Let's take a look at what we have here. This is a little multicam shoot we did of a behind the scenes kind of meeting for this movie. We have our wide shot. We have the angle of the right side of the table, the left side of the table, and a top-down camera so that we can see what's actually on the table. And then we have our high-quality audio. And let's take a look at how to sync these up, and we can make a multicam clip out of them. So the first thing I want to do is select all of these in the media pool. And this is only available in the cut page. In the top part of our media pool, there's this little button here called Sync Clips. Let's click on that. And that will take all of our footage and audio and bring it into this Sync Clips window. Right here where it says Sync By, there are a couple different options. You can sync this by time code, which is if you have a really fancy system where all of the cameras use the same clock and they're synced up that way. That's a great way to do it. You can also sync it by the very beginning of each clip or the very end of each clip, or you can use what we're going to do and sync it by audio. What this is going to do is look at the waveforms of each of these clips, and it's going to line them up so that everything happens all at the same time. So once we have all of our clips loaded in here and we have audio selected, let's go ahead and hit this sync button. And it pretty much instantly analyzes all the waveforms and lines these up so that everything happens at the same time. And you can kind of see that this little spike happens at the same time in each of these tracks, which means that we are probably just fine. And we can scrub through this and preview our different cameras at any given point. I like to find some kind of big movement like Dan getting up here, and we can see the different angles of all of that happening. If we need to fix something, we can hit this unlock sync button and we can grab things and move them back and forth, but our sync works great. So let's go ahead and hit save sync. What changes is now we see these little blue icons in the upper left of each of our thumbnails here. And that just means that these clips all have some kind of sync data. From there, we can go to our sync bin, which is up here next to our media pool. And this is a special way to view all of our footage all at once, kind of laid out in layers. And we just got to move until we have all 5 of our layers here, our 4 cameras and our audio. We can hit J, K, and L to play this back.
Video được Việt hóa bởi Ngọc Tân từ group tài nguyên dựng phim.
Production meeting, take 1.
And that's really where things start after that clapboard. So now that we have everything synced, we can go about this edit in a few different ways. The way that I like to work in the cut page is we can click on our widest shot where we can see everything happening. And that's automatically going to set an in where we clicked the shot, and it's going to set our out at the very end. And now that shot is loaded up into the source viewer, and we can do something like click append to add that to the timeline. Now, here's what's really cool. We have just this shot in the timeline. We can switch to our timeline viewer and play this back. And we can edit this for content, which means just what is actually happening, not necessarily how the cameras look. And at any point, if we want to switch to a different camera, we can bring up our sync bin and just pick the camera that we want to lay in next. I think what I'm actually going to do next is put in my audio. So I'll just click my audio, and we could do something like place on top. think that works. Let me actually.
And we are going to go over what we're doing today.
And that will place our audio down here in our lower track. And because it knows when things are synced, it's going to set that at just the right place. And I could take the edges of my audio and just drag them out to fit our video. Now we have our good audio synced up with our video, and I could just turn off the camera audio in our first track like this. And now we have our good audio with our master shot here. So from here, we can just go through and figure out the parts that we want to keep.
So, hello everybody.
We'll just start with hello everybody.
Okay, so
Grab both of these and just trim it back here.
hello everybody. Good job on the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Done very well. We are way ahead. And we are going to go over what we're doing today. So far, Dan has been going through the footage, and we found one shot that we need to get, and that's going to be something we're going to do like right after this.
Okay. I'm just going to use that little tiny clip, and we can hit Control / to cut that, and I'll grab the second part of our clip and hit backspace. So now we have just this little 20-second clip.
Hello everybody.
This works all the same no matter what part you select. So if you're following along, just pick a place that seems good to you.
Good job on the last 2 days.
And let's kind of think through, man, what would be the very best angle to use when the various people talk?
Hello everybody. Good job on the last 2.
So somebody said hello. Let's actually turn this volume up a little bit. I'll just select our audio track, go to our tools, and push up the volume.
Good job. Good job on the last 2 days. Good job.
We have Gwen saying hello right there, so it would be great to show a close-up of her. We can go back to our sync bin, and we can pick this close-up of this angle. And again, we can just hit place on top, and that would work fine.
Good job on the last.
And we can switch back to our timeline viewer to see it.
Good job on the last 2 days.
Let's give her a little bit more room.
Good job on the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Done very well.
And then we have Isaac nodding his head there. That might be good to cut to there. So we'll just start here. We can go back to our sync bin, and we'll pick Isaac's angle and add on top.
Yeah.
Done very well. We are way ahead.
And we can kind of go through and build our edit that way. Now, doing this in the cut page works a little bit differently than it normally would with a multicam workflow. Sometimes what you would do is have a multicam clip inside of your timeline, and then you could select that clip and decide which camera to show at what time. But the idea behind the cut page is that it kind of keeps all of the clips separate while still remembering kind of where they go, instead of putting them all together in one clip. And the real advantage here is if we want to cut out a big part of this, let's just say...
And we are going to go over what we're doing today. So far, Dan has been going through the footage, and we found one shot that we need to get, and that's going to be something we're going to do like right after this. Footage, and we found one shot.
And let's just say we're just going to cut this part out. And so now...
And we found one shot.
And so now we have... We're skipping forward in time.
Way ahead, and we found one shot that we need to get, and that's going to be...
Well, wherever we are in the timeline, whatever clip we're over, the cut page knows what clips will sync to that. So anytime that we go to the sync bin, it will show the other angles that will sync up with this. And if we go to this clip before, it jumps backward in time to the angles that would sync up with that. And so it's really easy to keep things in sync, to add different clips, to switch things around. In fact, you can even kind of go about this in a backwards way. For instance, if you wanted to do something like find something really good for this angle, like when he's pointing at things right here, we can set an in and an out. And put this at the end of the timeline with append. We don't have to find that spot in the other clips. We can just find this spot and then sync the other stuff to it. So let's grab the audio and put that in there. We'll just trim this and it will sync up. And the audio will sync up to that. And it looks like this is actually adding an extra audio track, which is kind of, again, one of the problems with the cut page sometimes. And so what we might want to do is turn on video only mode. So we'll switch over here and find that part where he's pointing. And we're going to go right here to the left side of the timeline and select video only. And now when we put this in, it'll append that to the end of the timeline, but we won't hear any audio. But we can still take our audio, and if we switch off video only mode, we can throw that audio in, and that'll be synced up just fine. Let's boost that audio up again.
This evening around 6-ish.
And we can keep adjusting our edits that way. The other cool thing about working this way is, let's say we do have our huge big long take like this. Let's set our in, and we'll put this in the timeline. Place our audio on top. Stretch out our audio so we can hear the good audio here.
Video được Việt hóa bởi Ngọc Tân từ group tài nguyên dựng phim.
We can actually use this sync bin to find the best parts of each angle. Like, let's say we want this camera 3. We can find whatever parts are really good with camera 3. Something where we're actually looking at stuff on the table. So he's pointing right there. And we can set an in.
These 6 shots,
right there. And no matter where we are in the timeline, the cut page can actually find where this is supposed to go and put it at the right place in the timeline using this button right here, source overwrite. So with the section that we like set with our in and out here on this camera, if I click source overwrite, it will find the right place to put it.
Which are going to be these.
And it'll put that
which are going to be
right where it's supposed to go.
Shots, which are basically just.
Again, let's mute that video track.
Are going to be these 6 shots, which are basically just.
And we can go through and kind of do that same thing on each of these angles, which is a little bit of a backwards way of doing it, but might be really helpful if you're just wanting to cut to the very best parts of each camera. You can just set the parts that make sense and just say source overwrite, and it will put it right where it's supposed to be. And you don't even have to worry about finding that part in your master shot. So here where Dan reaches for some candy, you can hit I for in, O for out, and just source overwrite, and that'll put it wherever it's supposed to be, which is down here.
And hang out.
That's a really nice way to work, and it actually is really fast once you get it all set up.
Unless you want to stay in.
Unless you want to stay and hang out, yes, you're welcome to do that. Also, reminder, I need to.
So that's basically how you would do a multi-camera edit in the cut page. And we have this little meeting with all the different angles for you guys to play with. If you do a lot of multicam stuff, or you're thinking about getting into it, definitely recommend playing around with the multicam and the cut page, because it is a really cool way to work with multicam sequences. Those are some of the major features of the cut page. It's really a great environment to put simple things together quickly. That source tape is great for finding B-roll. And of course, the multicam is really awesome as well. Next, we'll do a little bit of troubleshooting, and then we'll get into the Fusion page.